our agenda. Ms. Harrison, I understand we've got at least one.
Yes, sir. James Garrett.
All right, Mr. Garrett, step up and be pleased to hear from you.
Thank you. I have a green light that he said, yes, that's working. So good afternoon to all of you. It's good seeing you again. Again, I want to congratulate you on making the news, doing your job in March, and making a public announcement about it. I am just sorry that the public didn't take up on that announcement to find out that you had purged some people. And it took a news article just in the last day or two to get some people riled up. And, you know, welcome to the world, people. What I wanted to tell you, though, is I did have an opportunity to go to the certification for the machines coming up for this special election. I was very impressed, as I expected to be, but I was very impressed with Will and with Jeremy and the process that you had and what it was. Wednesday, I had never been there to do that, and so it was a learning experience for me. But when I got there, all the machines were on. All the machines they were going to use were on. I could have picked any one of the machines, his or hers, or any one of the machines to look at. They had the certificate of all the seals and things there. They had the sample ballots that they ran through to test, and the printout that the machine, the scanners do. I was very impressed with it. Thursday morning, I had the opportunity of being down in Williamson County at a get-together of ladies, primarily ladies. I think there were two men, me and another there, but it's primarily ladies' coffee. And I did give them a report there because they're skeptical. They're skeptical of the veracity and the legitimacy of our elections. They want paper ballots, and they, you know, but they're doubting Thomases, so to speak, when it comes to what our elections are. I am very confident from my experience working with the Election Commission as an officer of elections. But I am very confident here in Davidson County, we have probably the most honest, rigorous elections that I've seen absolutely nothing in 10 years or 14 years, I guess. I've seen absolutely nothing that would give me any doubts about how accurate our counts are and how the process goes on the day of elections or during early voting and that process. So again, I congratulate you for a job well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Garrett. I appreciate your thoughts and your comments and your strong words of affirmation. Yeah, I agree. The process that has been put in place over the years to check those machines, make sure they're right at the very beginning. I wish more people would avail themselves of that opportunity to see that. So thank you very much. Okay. Well, the next item on our agenda is to approve the minutes from our September 5th meeting. Those were sent out ahead of time. If you could take a look at them if you have not already, and as anyone is prepared, I will entertain a motion relative to the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We've got a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
We've got a second?
Second, sorry.
That's okay. All right, okay, is there any discussion or question or comment relative to the minutes that anybody would like to make? Seeing none, all those in favor of adopting the minutes as presented to us here today indicate by saying aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed say no, and the ayes have it. Thanks very much. All right, item number 3, to change the date of the Provisional County Board for the December 2nd special general election. Administrator Roberts, would you care to walk us through that?
Members, if you remember last meeting, you set the date to certify the December election for the 5th of December. We had already set the provisional counting board date as the 8th. We need to change that date to the 4th so that we'll be prepared to then certify on the 5th. And we're asking that you do it at 4 p.m. that afternoon of December the 4th.
All right, to get that properly before us, is there someone who will make a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion to change the provisional counting board for December 2nd, 2025 to December 4th, 2025 at 4 p.m. in the Green Hills Room.
Okay, and is there a second? Second. All right, got a second? Okay, Commissioner Dan Davis made the motion, Commissioner Dooley seconded. All right, are there any questions about this?
No, I'll just say that I had voted against the moving of the original certification, and so I plan on voting in favor of this because that we have to count the provisional ballots. But that doesn't change my vote for changing the certification, which I don't agree with.
Very good, thank you for that clarification. Any other comment, question? Seeing none, all those in favor of moving the provisional county board to Thursday, December 4 at 4 o'clock, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. No. No, I didn't mean to say no. No. I voted affirmative. I'm confused. These microphones have got me all worked up and twisted around. Let's do this. Apparently when anybody's microphone is on, there's significant feedback. So if on votes, if you would not turn your microphone on, that way we don't have feedback. And if you're concerned about whether your vote is properly counted, just raise your hand and we'll recognize you, make sure everything plays out. Does that make sense? Is that okay?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite get everything you said.
Okay. Basically, I just asked if, since there's feedback when all the microphones are on, when we have a vote, if everybody would refrain from turning their microphone on, and if there's some questions whether their vote has been properly counted, they can seek recognition and we'll get that clarified.
Okay, are they going to speak?
Yeah, we'll still vocally ask them to. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. Yeah, very good. Yeah, thanks so much. Great suggestion. All right, item number 4, the call for the Berry Hill municipal election for Tuesday, March 17, 2026. Administrator Roberts.
Commissioners, the folks at Berry Hill have notified us and requested that we set for March 17th their election for 2 commissioners. They have an opportunity to do that. They could have chosen to go with the May election, but they felt strongly that they wanted, the way that their charter's put together, that they needed to have it on March 17th. So you need to actually call that election so that we can put that one on.
Okay, so we can get this properly before us for discussion. Is there anybody who would make the motion to call that election for the Berry Hill municipal election for Tuesday, March 17, 2026?
I'll call for the election for the Berry Hill municipal election for Tuesday, March 17, 2026.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Dan Davis. Is there a second?
I'll second, but then I have, if you can just for the new folks, explain who pays for that, who gets to decide how to call that, et cetera, just so we understand. Thanks.
Right, so the small cities around Nashville, Belmead, Berry Hill, Forest Hill, Goodlettsville, Oak Hill, they have an opportunity to determine whether or not their election, if it's mentioned in their charter that it's on a specific date outside of one of our standard elections, they have an opportunity to put it with that standard election. And that's what the other 4 do, as opposed to holding their own standalone election. Berry Hill has chosen, and continuously, this is not something new, to have theirs again in March of next year, as opposed to in May or with another election that we would traditionally hold.
Okay, is there some history about why they do it differently or?
You know,
No big deal, I'm just curious. And this isn't like this is for their commission?
Commission, right, yeah. They're, probably over the last 10 years or so, more of these small cities have been choosing to piggyback on our elections, because if they do, there's no cost. If they have a standalone, they have to foot the bill. So we will bill them whatever we experience as far as a cost to put that election on.
Very good. Thanks for that question. That's good, and for the thorough explanation. Any other questions or comments relative to this matter? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion to call that election for the Bear Hill municipal election for March 17, please raise your hand.
Aye.
All those opposed? I see none. All right. Commissioner Roberts, or excuse me, Administrator Roberts, I'll call on you for the Davidson County Administrator of Elections search.
So as you remember last week, we had advertised for my replacement. We had 45 applicants. We have, the staff have recommended to you 3 of those applicants. And we are at the position now where the commission can schedule interviews, open it up for a longer period of time, whatever you want to do. This item on the agenda is sufficient that you can move the search forward in any form or fashion that you would like.
Commissioner Daly, do you seek recognition?
Yes. Yeah, I would move that we, for the opening of the position of the administrative elections for Davidson County, be posted on Metro HR for an additional 3 to 4 weeks. I don't know exactly. I feel like we have been rushed in just trying to get the best pool of applicants that we can get. So I don't think it needs to be extended beyond just the original 2 weeks.
If you turn your mic off. All right, we've got a motion. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll make a second.
Okay. All right, we've got a second. Anything else you want to add to that before we? All right, is there any discussion, any questions? Commissioner Byrd.
Well, first of all, what's the motion? Is it 3 or 4 weeks or what?
Commissioner Daly, would you clarify, please?
Yes, I would move that it be an additional 4 weeks to make sure that we get an adequate pool of candidates.
All right, I guess my question would be, what brought this on, or why is this happening? I mean, other than what you said last week, but what instigated this?
Basically, just what I said last week. I feel like this is a very significant position in Davidson County. I don't feel like just running it on Metro HR for 2 weeks was adequate to get the largest pool of candidates that we could have gotten. I would like to have seen it advertised more fully, but definitely to have run longer to get a larger pool of candidates.
Okay, so as I understand it, we had how many candidates?
We had 45.
45. And there's 3 that have been recommended for interviews from the staff, is that right?
That's correct.
So can I just get a clarification that there's no other candidates in the 42 that you find, I guess, worthy of the job or able to do the job, or that you want in the mix?
I think there may have been a couple of others that I would have, added into the three, but my main objection was that we had limited it to 2 weeks, and I did not think that was adequate time to do as full a search, especially since the job had not been advertised, and the running it on Metro HR was basically the advertisement and the hiring process, in a sense.
Right, so, but are there so have you added other people? What's the process to add other people then, I guess, to the mix? I mean, as I understand it, that we were supposed to have already added people to the mix.
We have no problem interviewing or asking to come before you, whoever the commission would want to, So initially, I reminded all the commissioners that they had an opportunity beyond the three recommended by staff. If you wanted to add someone, that's not an issue. Just bring those people forward and we would invite them to interview, just like the three that we recommended.
Just for clarification, we could bring forward anybody that's in the pool, not
In the
bring-
pool, correct, in the pool.
Do you have
Right.
additional?
And has that happened? Has anybody on the commission added anyone to the three?
To date, no. There's been questions about individual candidates, but no candidate has been added to, let's call it the interview pool.
So,
Okay, Commissioner Janine Davis.
so Commissioner Dooley, is the concern that there weren't people that maybe you were aware of who are already in the current candidate pool is why you're wanting to recommend that we open or extend the time?
Yes, I think that if it were advertised for longer, that it might be seen by more people, and that we might get candidates that are very capable that we could add into this three group. I haven't added any in because I was hoping to get the time extended, the time advertising for the position extended.
What is the precedent for the length of time for the application process when Administrator Roberts was hired?
Well, I think I don't have my notes from last week, but I was quoting last week from what AI and other hiring sources had said, and that was that it was like 30 days. Or 60 days, and that time could be extended in cases where there were administrative or technical duties.
Okay, but do we know what the time frame was previously?
That would be, I guess that would be a question for Jeff, I don't know.
I don't really remember how long it was open when I applied. I really don't have a clue. I will tell you that 2016 was a different atmosphere as far as people wanting to be in this position. It's a totally different position than when I applied. So that could have some impact on, why we don't have a very big number applying.
But, I mean, to be fair, what do you mean by that?
Let me ask if, so we maintain order, just let me know if you need recognition, so, Commissioner Byrd.
Well, no, I don't want to step on Ms. Commissioner Davis's line of questioning, but I just wanted you to, I mean, if you can just explain what you mean by that, Mr. Roberts, a little bit, because I do think the public should understand what you're saying.
I think based on the atmosphere around elections today and people involved in elections, there's less interest in people wanting to be in this type of position that is very open to the public. They see your face a lot. People have decided that that's not what they think is in the best interest of them. And I think if we look at the current staff, none of the current staff were interested in taking my place. I think that gives you an idea of kind of what the expectations are around being the administrative elections for Davidson County. Now, if you're out in a small county somewhere, that may be totally different. But here today, you know, we saw political figures over the past this week. Things have been very excited in the national news. And I think that plays into, this is something I really want to get involved in.
Commissioner Davis, do you have additional questions?
Mr. Burns.
Wait a minute, I want to, she got kind of interrupted, so I wanted to make sure she was finished.
I think my only other question is, with the extension, how will that, I know we had discussed at one of our last meetings of the timeline. So we wanted this person hired by a certain time so that they had an opportunity to shadow Administrator Roberts. So by extending an additional 3 to 4 weeks, how does that line up with the timeline, considering we have a special election going on and Administrator Roberts will end his time at the end of December. So what does that look like in terms of the hiring process and them being able to shadow?
Commissioner Roberts?
So just looking at some quick dates, and don't hold me to this, but if we did 4 weeks, we potentially could interview on the 7th of November. If the person gave 2 weeks notice, we hired them, they gave 2 weeks notice, we would be pushing the envelope as to whether or not they would be employed prior to the general election. And, you know, based on my experience, Davidson County will be best served if the new administrator has at least one election where whoever it is, I can work with them before I'm gone. You know, there's a lot of moving parts that unless you've done it, you don't realize things that could come back to bite you, come back to bite this commission in Davidson County. So we have to make sure that whoever's in place is prepared for that. Now, we've got a great staff. They're going to be helping, but that time to spend with me to say, you know, you need to watch out for this, be prepared for this. These kind of things would put the person in a better position to handle it on their own when I'm not available.
Commissioner Dooley?
Yes. I would, then if I were to rephrase the motion, I would say an additional 2 weeks. Because I do agree with Mr. Roberts, it's very important that someone be able to shadow him for a period of time. However, I don't think rushing into this is worth it appearing to anyone, that we have not done our due diligence in filling the position. It might appear rushed to someone. So I would say an additional 2 weeks. And there's nothing that I know of that would prevent us from interviewing during those extra weeks. You can interview at the same time that the position's open, I think.
Mr. Roberts, did you want to?
I would caution interviewing candidates at the same time that we have it all open, because those candidates will be at a disadvantage. The new candidates that might get interviewed later, they will know all the questions that will be asked and would have an opportunity to be much better prepared than the person that we interview. So keep that in mind, that you don't want to disadvantage any of the applicants that we're going to be considering.
Anybody else seek recognition?
No, I'll call you.
Thanks, Chairman Davis. One of my concerns is that we kind of put a process in place that I think we all that HR put in place and we understood was happening. And I have a little bit of an issue with the 40 or so applicants that sort of bought into that process. They applied by the deadline. They did what they're supposed to do. And I have a little bit of a concern of telling them that, we don't like the pool or something, or, that troubles me a little bit, because, we need to work with somebody here. And, I thought we had a good pool of people. I mean, not everybody some people were qualified, some people weren't. I thought there was a lot of decent applications. We had 40 some odd people. I thought that was pretty good. I don't want to, candidates fill out petitions, right, to get on the ballot. And from what I've seen in minutes or whatever, we tell them, you're late, or you didn't get you got 24 signatures, not 25. Or you didn't get this in time. Or this was the deadline and we have to follow it. Or we have to count by this date, or we have to do whatever. And I just get a little bit concerned that, we had kind of agreed on this timeline, and we're telling people, well, we don't really run the business that way. So I have a little bit of concern about that. I'd like to hear from Commissioners Davis and the chair, just to know where you are and what's going on. But that's my issue. I don't think, is there some magical candidate that didn't apply that we don't know about? That's my first question, because if, did we miss out on a good candidate, then I think we all want to hear about it, but.
Do you want to, Commissioner Davis?
Knowing a bit about watching the election commission before I even got into this thing, so for full disclosure, I do know some of the backstories of this, the process of some of the previous administrative election in Davidson County, being a bystander, watching this since 08. So I've seen some of the things that can happen, and the administrators have come and gone. And so it's a big deal to get it right, especially that we're in Davidson County. So I think that's part of the concern for anybody who's ever watched it from that length of time, even from afar. In regards to hiring an AOE, as much as I appreciate that we did say, hey, here's the timeline we want to do, and this is when we're opening and closing applications, like any other business, if they feel they don't have the right candidate, they reopen the hiring process. That's not unusual, and that's not unprecedented. And since we're hiring for a position that literally is going to run the day-to-day operations of the Davidson County Election Commission that we are supervising, that we have final say over, that the state of Tennessee is going to hold our heads up for, it's probably pretty imperative we get it right. And I would suggest from that statement, a week or two more, if we don't find anyone per se that the magic candidate, who I don't know who that would be, but so be it. But I would think due diligence would precede just this timeline for this position, specific, can't get it out right now. And the other thing I would think in this whole context of what we're talking about, I think the public has been entrusted with us to do the right thing. The public sees that we do a pretty good job of calling balls and strikes. And so I think we are doing the best interest of the citizens' business if we make sure that we have crossed every T and dotted every I to at least say we looked for the right person. That person may be in that candidate pool that we already have. There might be someone else, but if we're talking 14 days to make sure we get it right for the people of Davidson County and state of Tennessee, why would we not?
My quick question to that before you go is, why wasn't this raised earlier? I mean, what happened that instigated this? Because I thought everyone was on the same page, and I thought, HR put this out, we followed a process. We told the public what the process would be. We made a commitment to the public that this was the process. So what happened? I don't think the staff reviewed the applications. They came up with 3 really qualified people, apparently. I'm not saying which one. We don't know which of those makes sense or if any of them make sense, but from my understanding, there was no issues raised. So I just want to know what changed.
Well, I can only speak for myself. She actually raised the issue last time, so so the issue was already up
Agreed,
front
last
personally.
week. I want to know prior to last week.
Right, so I guess where I'm standing is that she made the issue last week, and it was a valid point, and that's why it's on the agenda for this week. So I think, that kind of solves itself.
Well, let me step in and unless anybody else has anything to say. Personally, I'm quite comfortable with the pool that we've gotten. We've gotten 45 candidates. You've got your usual mixture of very good candidates that appear to apply for everything, and some that may or may not be the best. So I feel good about the pool that has been generated. I would agree that we need to be cautious, but I don't think there's been nothing raised to give me concern that we're going to get anything better than what we've got at this point. We have had it open for 2 weeks. I think that's plenty sufficient. And we talked about interviews. It was said that the people coming in afterward would know the questions, so on and so forth. But I would say what would concern me with that is that I'm talking to some folks on this day. 2 weeks later, I'm talking to somebody this day. And to what extent am I going to be able to give the people I interviewed earlier, am I remembering right, more correctly? But if we get them all at the same time, we don't have to deal with that problem. I think there's a fine line between moving forward with diligence while at the same time giving everybody comfort that the process is sufficient. Now, although I'm quite satisfied with the group we've got, I want everybody to feel comfortable with the process, but I cannot support a motion to extend it for even 2 weeks. And I would guess I'd ask Commissioner Dooley if you would consider amending your motion to extending it for 1 week. Frankly, just so you know, that's the best I would be comfortable voting for. So I just, for what it's worth, I'm just not comfortable voting to extend it that long because, again, we get into a situation where we're not able to hire the person in sufficient time to spend significant time with Administrator Roberts. And his scenario is perhaps we could get somebody in there the week before the general special election, but there's just so much more that goes on before that person would be missing out if we extended it 3 and 4 and even 2 weeks out. So I could support a motion to reopen it from today for a period of 7 days, if that's the pleasure of the person who made the original motion. So that's kind of where I am.
I have a sorry, go ahead and start with this commissioner. Go ahead.
My overriding concern in all of this is that it could appear to anybody, I don't know who I'm even talking about, but it could appear to anybody that we have not done our due diligence in a search for a position of this significance. And I do believe this is a very significant position in Davidson County. For a lot of people, Jeff is the face of the Election Commission in Davidson County. It's not us, it's Jeff. I feel like the time should be longer. I don't have I don't know that we won't end up choosing from the 3 that we have now. But I do feel like the time needs to be extended. So I feel like I'm in sort of an awkward position because I feel like that's going to indicate that as Commissioner Byrd has said, that I will be looking for one specific person, and I'm not. However, if that is only the extent of the time, I do believe that we should advertise, that it should have been advertised, and I believe it should be reopened. And if it can only be reopened for a week, then yes, I would make a motion for it to be reopened for a week.
Okay, was there be someone a second?
I'll make a motion to amend, to approve her amendment.
So as I understand it now, the motion is for extending the application process for 1 week, beginning today. Is that correct? Reflection of what you were saying?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments relative to the motion as amended? Commissioner Byrd.
So does that mean, just to make sure I understand, that means that the application process would be open for people to apply for a week?
Yes, sir.
That the staff would still review those applications and would, if there's nobody that meets the qualifications as the staff has been applying it, then nobody else would be put forward.
Well, I mean, that'd be something they would go through the same process, and then we would still, whoever is in that pool, the original pool, and those that come in during that week, we could again, if they're not one of those recommended from the staff, we could ask that they be included in the interview pool.
Okay. And meaning the commissioners would have an opportunity to then add anyone to the pool to be interviewed.
The interview pool, not, yes.
But only from the applicant
Only from the applicants, yes, sir.
process. And what would be the timeline for that? I feel like, I don't want to keep amending a motion, but
So we would open it up today, and in fact, we've got Metro HR, they're waiting for us to tell them how long to open it right now. They'll open it up tonight, and if the motion moves forward for 1 week, it will close at midnight next Friday. And just doing some quick looking at the calendar, we would then propose, the staff would, doing the interviews on October the 3rd. That would be after early voting starts, but before Election Day. So we've got a little window to do the interviews there and then get the person on board before early voting starts with the December election. So even if they give 2 or 3 weeks notice wherever they're currently working, we would still be in good shape to get them on board before early voting starts for the December 2nd election.
Commissioner Byrd, you have further questions?
Yeah, but there would be the staff, there would still be the process, the same process put in place.
Correct. The staff would go through the interviews, make a recommendation to you, provide all the applicants to you. You could still bring forward anybody that the staff did not include in their mix for the interview process. So essentially the same as it was. The staff will go through kind of a first go through and tell you the folks that we think would be good candidates. But if you find somebody else in that mix you want to bring forward, you can, as long as, so if it's October the 3rd, the week prior to that, you would have to let me know so I can invite all of them to come for the interview. And if we've got some out-of-state folks in there, we'd have to make sure we could set up to do Zoom or whatever in the event that they did not or could not travel here. I mean, if you're in California or somewhere, that's a big lift to get here on a week's notice.
Oh, just clarification, you said the staff will go through the interviews. I think you meant we'll go through the applications.
That's correct, the applications.
Any other? Commissioner Daly?
I just want to make sure that, so Jeff, Mr. Roberts, you're saying that it would be open from sometime at today, the 12th, and it would close at midnight on the 19th?
That's correct. Metro HR is waiting on us to send them an email to say, open it this afternoon, and it would stay open until midnight on the 19th. Now, what I told Metro HR is that we would have them an answer on how long by 4 o'clock, because it is a Friday. They want to go home too, so they have to get their work done. So if we can make it happen by 4 o'clock today, that would help everyone.
Commissioner Byrd?
Sorry. And we would be opening it for a week, but there is no specific person that you all have in mind that we're opening this for. It's just we're opening it for 1 week. Is that right?
That's right. I think they've indicated that they've said that they've got nobody in particular in mind. Just feel like it would generate the potential for more people.
If we could clarify, and I know Commissioner Davis may have I'm hogging the Democratic side here, so sorry. But if we could also clarify that, and I don't know if somebody would need to amend this or not. But, so the applications would go through the 19th. The staff would make their recommendations. Can we just clarify that by what day?
By the following Thursday morning is when I would hope we could have to you our recommendations. Now, so
25th.
that's the 20.
That'd be the 25th.
25th.
And then would we all agree? Could everybody commit that any further people from the applicant pool they wanted to interview, we could tell Mr. Roberts by the end of the business day, 26th?
That seems reasonable. That's certainly something we could strive for, and we can make it part of the. I don't know. Ms. Ecke, we don't necessarily need to make that part of the motion. We can administratively do that. Would that be correct?
Correct, it's up to you, you know, how you want to proceed
Well, let's
to the commission, yeah.
Yeah, Commissioner, or Administrator Roberts, you've duly noted what Commissioner Byrd said, and as I look around, there doesn't seem to be any concern that that's too quick by any stretch. So if we can just plan on administratively going by that timeline. Okay, Commissioner Byrd.
That would make me feel better. I don't know if, I mean, I still may vote against this. I don't like the concept of what we're doing after we told these applicants to play by the rules. But that would make me feel better about what we're doing. Because then we know the process, that there's a cutoff, and that we wouldn't be changing the rules of the game again.
Commissioner Davis.
Well, I appreciate your concern, and it's duly noted. Like I said, looking at this from business, looking at this from hiring people, whether it's in whatever field, it's not unusual for reopenings to happen. Just to put that out there clearly. I don't think, and like I said, we're not taking anyone who's currently out of the candidate pool either, is my understanding. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so therefore, nobody's out, if you will. Okay, everyone still has the fair opportunity. The people that I know that staff has recommended is not out. And if there was someone to make sure we've done our due diligence, shows up, they show up. And quite honestly, no one might show up. What did it hurt? And from that standpoint, you know, for the importance of the position, and Administrator Roberts has said this is not the same political climate it was a decade ago by a mile. So it would probably be in our best interest, if not good statesmanship, to make sure that we at least have shaken the trees one last time to get it right. Because the last thing we can afford to do is get it wrong.
Very good. Are we ready to proceed? Commissioner Byrd.
I appreciate the comments. I hope that as we make this decision, we understand the comments from Administrator Roberts that, you know, we also need to select someone who, I'll just say it, believes in elections, believes in free and fair elections. And, you know, we have a staff here who have worked diligently every day, and it's going to do none of us any favors to hire someone that don't give them cover to want to do their job and make them want to not be around this process any more than what we're hearing for Administrator Roberts saying about, and I don't think it's unusual. I think it's happening in a lot of places across the country. So, you know, I think we've all worked well together here under the leadership of Chairman Burns. I think we need to continue to do that. But, you know, I want to highlight that's important, and that's an important thing for us to think about.
Commissioner Davis.
Sure. And I totally agree. The one thing that I can say for myself, since that's the last thing that I don't want to ever not see is free and fair election. I think I've shown on the record, and you can find it on YouTube, I've pounded the hammer for that one, regardless of who it was. And that's pretty much my concern on this, is to make sure we find the right person who wants a free and fair election, who's going to call balls and strikes, who's going to do as that person is supposed to do. I think that's the biggest issue for me, at least in this particular conversation.
Commissioner Davis.
So I hear the concern. I think in the example, Commissioner Davis, when those things happen, you have typically interviewed. So the fact that we haven't yet interviewed the 3 that we have, we really don't know if we don't have good candidates. So I'm okay with the week, but I too, similar to Commissioner Byrd, I'm just curious, is there someone, even Commissioner Dooley, that you just know, again, personally maybe, who would apply for the position that you feel is a good candidate, that just didn't get to do it? Because my concern too is a week time frame is really also not that much. And so we could end up with nothing while those 3 that we've yet to even interview now are waiting even longer to be interviewed by us. So that's my concern.
Okay, and I think everybody said that they've got nobody in mind that they expect. So it's just a matter of feeling that's the best process from their perspective. So is that correct? All right. Well, are we ready to vote? Okay. Then the motion is to, in essence, to extend the applicant period beginning today through 11:59 p.m. on the 19th. All those in favor of that motion? I'm sorry?
I hate to feel like I'm doing Ms. Ecky's job. I think she has to make up. I know she said she suggested she make the amendment for 1 week. I think she has to make the formal amendment to amend it, her motion for 1 week, then we can vote on it.
I think we made that motion.
Did she? Okay, I was double checking because
You seconded it.
yeah, okay.
I think.
The way it was,
Okay.
okay, I just want to make sure the way it was said that it was covered.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you very much, because like I said last week, you never know. I'm not out of the realm of possibility that I get too fast. Commissioner Byrd.
I think you already made it. I think you seconded it. I think that we were very clear that we made some statements about what was going to happen as a part of that. I don't think we need to amend the motion to say that, but I think it's been very clear by all of us about what's going to happen. I would add into that I think that the process that we used prior, to today has also been approved and understood by all of us and okay, and through the HR system, and that's all been done. And then, I would say that I will vote on this 1 week extension. I'm not a fan of it. I want you, Mr. Chair, and on the other side to know that, there's going to be a lot of votes that probably down the road that we may not agree on. Selecting our administrator is something I want us to be on the same page about. And I will give this 1 week. I'm a little skeptical for all the reasons I've said. I will vote on it because, we are in early stages and I want us to work together. And that's why I'm doing this. And I have full faith in what you all are saying to us and expect that to be followed.
Very good. So we're ready to vote? Excellent. All those in favor of the motion indicate by raising your hand so we don't have the feedback on the microphones. It looks like it's unanimous. Thank you, folks. And just to clarify, relative to the process you indicated, Commissioner Byrd, I think the plan now is that under the motion, it's open, the applications will go back open live today through 11:59 p.m. on the 19th. Administrator Roberts has indicated to us that they will have their people they would recommend to us by the morning of Thursday, September 25th. And then it'd be incumbent upon us to get back to Commissioner Roberts if there's anybody that we want to be included in the interview pool that is not part of their recommendation by noon the 26th. Is that sufficient for everybody? Noon, Friday the 26th?
Well, let's make it around 3 o'clock for me.
Okay.
I thought into business, but
End
whatever.
of business will be fine, so end of business on.
Great, very good, excellent. So that's kind of what we've all agreed to do. Great, thanks very much. All right, moving right along. Administrator Roberts, I've been wanting to demote you all day by calling you commissioner, so I apologize for that. Administrator Roberts, your AOE report.
Mr. Chairman, I see what you folks have to go through every day in this job. I'm not sure I want to be commissioner. But I will tell you, Mr. Byrd, or Commissioner Byrd brought up last meeting a question about bus service at the early voting sites. I confirmed with the staff, if you go on our website to 2025 election information and click on early voting sites, you can go to each site and get the bus service information from there. I will tell you that Hillwood High School does not have bus service period out there, so that one's a little bit different than all of the other sites. One reminder, like we heard about earlier, that the staff put out monthly statistics on new registrations, deaths that we've purged, people we've purged because they've moved out of county, those kind of things. Those go out monthly on our social media sites. So X, Blue Sky, Nextdoor, and Facebook all have that information. That's all I've got as far as the report today.
Okay.
One follow-up,
Commissioner Byrd.
and I'm sorry to keep interrupting, but obviously what we do is important. I was a little taken aback reading, and I think Administrator Roberts knows about the Nashville Scene article this morning about highlighting that Nashville had purged some 80 some odd thousand voters. As I understand it, that's sort of a little bit prior to Ms. Commissioner Davidson, myself, and Ms. Dooley here time, like in March, that a good number of them had to do with the two elections. As I understand it, there was the redistricting. And I just want to make sure I understand this, and you can help us do that publicly, because I'm getting a lot of questions about this from our side, because purging voters is not something we typically want to see unless it's, obviously needed and necessary and right. But as I understand it, due to the redistricting, we sent out new notices of where you're going to vote. And the notices were only sent out to people that were going to have new locations, I assume. Or was it to everybody?
I'd have to go back. I think because we had so many changed that we went ahead and sent it to everyone, because it was a significant change in Davidson County as far as precincts and where people were voting.
And I don't know about the other counties, but I got to assume there were other counties that did not have significant changes. And so you had, when you looked at the difference between us, Shelby, Knox, and others, we certainly seemed out of whack. And, obviously, one of the reasons we're having more purging is because of the redistricting that happened here, which I'm not a fan of. This commission had nothing to do with it. Nobody here had anything to do with it. But it happened. It basically meant that, Nashville doesn't have a congressperson who lives in Nashville representing it in Congress. I'm not a fan of it, but it certainly led to us, I think, purging more than other counties would have done. And so I want to make sure I understand that, but does that mean that the letter went out before the 2022 election, and then there were 2 November elections that took place after that, and that there was a lot of people that then didn't respond or vote? Is that right? That's what I'm trying to get.
That's correct. So redistricting, let's just say it's in the spring of 22 when we sent those out. They came back to us throughout the summer. And at that point, if it's undeliverable, we put you in an inactive status. That doesn't really mean anything as far as voting or, signing petition or any of that type stuff. It just tells us, hey, we think we have a bad address on this person. So it flags us in the system. If you come to vote, we're going to double check and say, hey, do you have a new address? Because we've got something that says that you don't live there anymore. You could sign a petition. A lot of things that could immediately change you back over to active. But for all of those people that we never heard from over 2 November elections, at that point, January, February, March, right in there, we do that purge. So you're going to see another one in 2029 after, because we'll have everyone that, we sent a letter prior to 24. They don't vote in 26. So.
Will it'll be earlier than that, because
It'll be 27.
You're going to
yeah.
take 2024 and 2026 and say,
Yeah.
But you wait till there's 2 that pass, is that right?
Two November elections have to pass. That's both in state law and federal law.
And if they get purged, that means that if they were to show up in the 3rd election and they just didn't vote and didn't pay attention and didn't answer the mail, then they're not on the rolls, right?
They're not on the rolls, but we would let them vote a provisional ballot. Part of the provisional ballot process is we have you fill out all of the information as far as the voter registration. So even if we determine that you really weren't eligible at that point in time, you're ready for the next election because you've taken the steps with that provisional ballot to put yourself in a good spot.
Wait, are you saying that effectively registers them
When that for the next
for the
election.
next election?
Yeah, and we do that for every provisional. Even if they don't have their voter ID, just in case there's some other kind of issue, we have them fill out another complete voter registration form during that provisional process so that we've got it. So it's kind of we call it our fail-safe. It makes sure we've got all the bases covered and can get you right back in the mix.
All right, that explains a lot. I appreciate it. I'm not a fan of I do think Nashville's treated differently here because I think that we were so redrawn that I think that notices went out to the entire city unlike other counties. And I think therefore there will undoubtedly be some people who were purged that shouldn't be purged. And that's problematic and I want to stay on top of that. But I do understand the process. And I think that from what I understand, you all applied it the way it's supposed to be applied. It disturbs me because of the redistricting, which again, is not in our purview, but I wanted to state that for the record.
And we have a lot of folks in Davidson County that have learned to go out and check their registration before that voter registration deadline, just to be sure. So we get a lot of online voter registrations right before the deadline ends because people have gone out and checked to see if they're on there. A lot of people only vote every 4 years. And, that presents a little bit of a problem. You can get yourself caught up and get purged and then have to get back on. One other thing I'll say, as far as after every census, when we do a redistricting, traditionally, Davidson County has sent out a different color voter registration card so that we know when the voter shows it to us, kind of what happened. So right now, it's white. The previous one was blue, so if you're wondering why we do that, that's why.
Thank you.
Very good. It's a good discussion. I thank everybody benefited from that. All right, next item on the agenda, just a reminder of the next scheduled meetings. I think the one on the 13th, we're certifying the primary results. Is that correct? Administrator Roberts?
That's correct.
And then, of course, as we already said, certifying the special general election on the 5th. All right.
Mr. Chairman, I would also add that we need to schedule at your call an interview meeting. Could be on the 3rd if everyone is good with that. That would be our next meeting as opposed to the 13th.
Okay.
Should we make a motion to call a sort of pencil in a meeting? Sorry. Should we make a motion to pencil in a meeting for October 3rd, assuming that you can get all the interviewees on board with that and then let us know if there's a problem? Oh, call the chair, whatever.
I think that'd be appropriate, yes, sir. So do you want to make that motion?
Well, do you want to make the 3rd or do you want to call a chair? It doesn't matter.
Man, yeah. It's easier to do it at call the chair, because if you do it on the 3rd and you kind of just stuck there, but if you do it on call the chair, you have a little bit more flexibility.
That seems to be the will of the body that will set that interview meeting at the call of the chair. Thanks for that clarification. All right. Just one last thing, maybe backing up to the AOE search. Just thought about maybe it might be beneficial if we asked Administrator Roberts to send that information out over to Coordinator Goins' office and ask him to send it out to the other counties. I suspect they probably already know that Administrator Roberts has stepped down, but that might be one additional source of getting the information out across the state. So unless there's some objection to that, I'll ask Administrator Roberts to do that accordingly. Great. Very good. We're at the end of our agenda. Unless there's additional business, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Commissioner Byrd. Is there a second?
Okay.
Second by Commissioner Janine Davis. Any questions, comments? Seeing none, all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, say no. It was unanimous. Thanks very much, everyone, for a great meeting.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information on this and other programs, visit nashville.gov.